Let's talk about what is going on in Europe. And you got into a little bit of trouble a couple of weeks ago when you talked about the no-go zones in London and Paris where supposedly non-Muslims cannot go. Have you clarified your thinking or your statements on that yet?
Allison, I knew that my comments were going to rile up people on the left. Whenever you speak honestly about the threat of radical Islamic terrorism, the politically correct crowd does not like this. I was very clear. No-go zones are areas where people are trying to impose Sharia law, where women don't feel as comfortable going in without wearing veils from the outside. The police are less likely to go in. The left try to jump on the semantics. I don't care whether you call them sensitive urban zones the way the French do or no-go zones. Here's the bigger point. The bigger point is that Islam has got a problem. Muslim leaders have got to condemn not just generic acts of violence, but these individual terrorists. Say these fools aren't martyrs. They're not going to enjoy a reward in the afterlife. They're going straight to hell. Now, I hope and believe a majority of Muslims don't condone the beliefs of these terrorists, but it's important for Muslim leaders to condemn the individuals committing these acts, and then for the West. It's important for us to insist people coming into our countries assimilate and integrate. We don't want to give people the same freedoms we give to everybody and allow them to use those freedoms to undermine our freedoms. And that's a very dangerous trend. You're seeing it in Europe, and it could happen here in America if we're not careful.
But do you believe that there are neighborhoods that are off limits in London and Paris to non-Muslims? Or are you saying that there are some where tourists may not feel as comfortable as other places? Or are you saying these are no-go, off-limit zones?
When people say no-go zones, they don't mean by law you're not allowed to go in those. It's not like there are fences around these neighborhoods. But the point is that women who are outsiders don't feel as comfortable going in. They feel if they're not veiled, they're not welcome there. The police will tell you, the police have said this, that they get lower reports of serious violent crimes. There are attempts by the local communities to impose as much of Sharia law as they can. Absolutely, you see these areas in the UK and in France. And the reality is you've got second, third generation immigrants there that don't consider themselves parts of those society. Now, to their credits, the French Prime Minister and others are speaking out against the threats of radical Islamic terrorism. Our president doesn't like to use those words. Here in America, here's the threat I see. I'm not saying we've got those zones here, but I'm saying if we continue to insist on hyphenated Americans, if we don't view America as a melting pot, if we refuse to teach about America as an exceptional country with English as our language, we risk going down the path that Europe has gone, where they don't insist on assimilation and integration. One of the strengths of America is it doesn't matter how long you've been here, 5 minutes or 100 years, we consider you Americans. Many of those folks come here and serve in our military, they start businesses. Doesn't matter what color you are, doesn't matter where you came from, if you're willing to adopt our freedoms, the right to self-determination, religious liberty, and freedom of speech.